Test, test, test. There we go. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Apple iPad discussion panel. My name's Miguel Bordo. I'm the Media Services Manager at Duke Law. I'll be joined today by my colleague Deb Kinney, who's the Instructional Technologist at Duke Law, Jenny Wondracek from University of Florida, and Don Zhou from St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas, sorry. So we'll go ahead and get started. Deb, if you want to go.
Sure. Okay, so I know we all just had a lot of carbs for lunch. So if you feel, see, I saw you yawning back there. If you feel yourself starting to doze off, feel free to walk in the back, do some jumping jacks or whatever. If I nod off, do this, just push the little button on the mic and yell at me. All right, so we're going to talk about the Apple iPad. Oop, I think I went one too many. Hang on. Okay, so why are we talking about the iPad? Not only is it cool, everywhere you go, you pull out an iPad and people are like, ooh, what is that? It's lightweight, highly portable, and it's fully functional. Granted, it doesn't have a DVD player, but other than that, there isn't too much that the iPad cannot do.
No USB.
Detractors don't have to speak. Just kidding. First, I want to talk about two apps. First one is Keynote, which we are not using for this presentation right now, but the other one is two screens. Now, you'll notice that the iPad is over there plugged in, but I'm moving around using my iPhone as a remote, which is awesome. Not only that, but it has a built-in laser pointer, which is awesome. Okay. One of the faculty, not at the law school at Duke, but at the university, is a big proponent of using his iPad in the classroom. So we're going to take a little look and see what he has to say.
And so as I'm preparing this, I just wanted to quickly poll the audience and see, how many people or how many professors are actually using iPads in the classrooms right now. Just a couple, right? So I think we're going to see a wave towards using the iPad just because of the really cool things that you can do with it. And here is Dr. Noor talking about it.
Nope.
And we get no sound now.
Okay, let's pause it. Just pause it. You know what?
Source.
No, we have this a minute ago.
Didn't we just have it?
You know what? Just stop it.
Okay. Let's go to lectern. That's okay. We actually have a backup plan.
Did you just close my presentation? Oh no.
Oh, did it log out?
No.
See, we did test.
Well, I used this semester for my introductory genetics and evolution class. That class had an enrollment of almost 300 students. So as you can imagine, it was a little bit challenging trying to deal with those kinds of numbers. Rather than using my laptop, I actually chose to take my iPad. This, by the way, is the iPad 1. This is not the new iPad 2 yet. There's one single reason that I initially chose to use this, but actually there are a lot of reasons I ended up really enjoying having it. The single reason is when you have a PowerPoint presentation, for example, and you're giving a lecture, you lose all spontaneity, right? You're giving it, here's all your canned slides that are already made, and you can't just go up to the board and write something, for example, on top of your PowerPoint. However, with the iPad, there are apps. This app right here is called Two Screens, for example, where you can do exactly that. So this is a slide in the middle of some of the work I'm doing. Does that show up okay? So, for example, if I had a genetic cross I wanted to do, here's a slide, for example, I was showing in my class. I would have my standard PowerPoint. I'd go to the next slide and say, okay, now let's say we're going to do this genetic cross where we crossed an individual that was big A, little a, to big A, for example. I could then go through all the possible outcomes of that, and we can do different problems over and over again. I could say, well, let's change this one to being big A, big A. Basically, this gives me the spontaneity that I didn't have with a laptop. And I have a little stylus. I'm not using it right now. I have a little stylus I can also use for this. And this is really great. You can actually flip it over and have a blank screen for answering questions and writing things up at any point in time. You can answer student questions right there where people can see what's happening on the huge screen. The nice thing is it's also taped. So we use the Panopto system right now. Everything that comes on the screen through the iPad is actually taped on the system. So that is wonderful. And more generally, I have to say the students are just impressed seeing an iPad at being used for lecture, just for coolness factor, right? But there's also several other features that I ended up using that I didn't anticipate ahead of time. So for example, I also have an iPhone, but this would also work with an iPod Touch. There's an app you can get with your iPhone or iPod Touch where you can walk around the room and advance your slides from your iPhone or your iPod Touch. So again, it gives you that much more spontaneity. And of course, you could do that with a laptop if you had one of those little clickers, but still, this is really a nice feature. You can also go to particular slides on it. You can type on your iPhone, go to slide 8, it jumps immediately to slide 8, or go to a blank screen, or hide the screen, or any of these things. So again, it's a little bit more functionality than you had with a standard laptop. Now, of course, I mean, there are detractors. And the detractors will say, well, you could do all those things with a laptop. You could pull up the keyboard and type on the screen, but it's clearly much more clunky. It's not nearly as smooth as when you have these kinds of things. Now, the iPad has several other apps that I use extensively for class-related topics. For example, there's a Blackboard app, which I know we're moving away from Blackboard right now to Sakai, but still, I assume there will be a Sakai app available for us very soon, too. It's very handy. It's actually far nicer than going to the website.
And so, actually, he mentioned, I don't know if you want to...
Yeah.
Okay. You can switch that. So, Professor Noor actually mentioned using a stylus, and we did a lot of research. We even bought a handful to test them out. And the one that we came up with that was the best, and Jenny agrees, and she has one as well, is a stylus made by Boxwave. Without a doubt, the best for annotating or just maybe playing a game or something.
So earlier there was a session and the gentleman was talking about the Turning Technologies clickers. The iPad has an app called Poll Everywhere, which does the same type of thing. We haven't used it yet, and as a matter of fact, we have several faculty who are very interested. They have iPads, but they're waiting to see how it goes. So we have one faculty who is very eager, and he will probably be using an iPad for instruction in the fall. And then we have several more who will be on board with that as well. So Poll Everywhere I mentioned. Goodreader is an annotating app. So if you didn't have two screens, you could use Goodreader, sort of like your PowerPoint presentation. But if you have cases or things that you're highlighting, you want to annotate that, you can do that, save it, and then email it out to students later.
Yeah, in fact, I know Don is probably going to talk a little bit about Goodreader as well, and I know that he's used it quite a bit. There are other free annotation apps out there. iAnnotate is one that we've used and really enjoy. New Annotate is also a good product, good app. There are a handful of free annotation apps out there that just test them out, really. But Goodreader really seems to do the best.
And of course, he mentioned Blackboard. I don't know how many of your schools still use Blackboard. He mentioned Duke is going away from that. Right after we get all excited and know how to use it, then and then Dropbox, of course. And then we have another little bit from our fellow.
Let me enlarge this so I can see what I'm doing.
In terms of the web, the standard Safari browser didn't work with the old iPad. I've heard that it does actually work with the new iPad, but there's another browser called the VGA Expedition browser. And this is it right here. It just looks like any other browser, really. But I use this actually for activities within the class. We use the system called Poll Everywhere. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's one where people in the class can actually vote on something during the class. And instead of using clickers, they use their cell phones or any sort of mobile device or laptop. And then what I could do is during the class, I could display what the outcome was. Very much so. I very much prefer the iPad to the laptop, mostly for that spontaneity where you can just write something on the display on here and it shows up on the screen and it's saved. And it's much better if I was writing on the board. You know, I can't write big enough that a 300-person class could see what's going on in the back of the room. And that was the demonstration I showed earlier with the genetics thing. I go to meetings all the time. I have a meeting actually right after this, where I'm going to take my iPad and take it. It's great just being able to sit there and have something that's light to carry with. This is literally, it's not much heavier than a pad of paper if I was going to that. I can take notes on it, and I do take notes. I actually use the Notes app primarily for that. The Notes app is nice because you can set it up so it automatically saves whatever you're typing to your Gmail account. So you then have this online accessible version to it. Another one I sometimes use is PaperDesk, which will sometimes output to Google Docs if you use that. So again, it's nice for just taking notes. Oh, there's one app that is really nice. I don't know if you've heard of Mozy. Mozy is a backup service. So you can set up your hard drive to be backed up remotely with Mozy, which is really nice, right? That's a good service for that. There's an app for Mozy which will access the backup of your hard drive. So what this allows you to do, this has happened to me in several meetings where, oh, I have a file about that on my computer. Well, I don't have my computer, but I can just go through Mozy, access that file, I can pull it up, I can email it, I can do whatever I need to with it. That's extraordinarily handy at these meetings, to just be able to see anything you have on your computer, email it, look at it, do whatever you need to with it. There's also another program similar to that called TeamViewer, which if you run it on your computer, it will actually, you can actually literally manipulate your computer. You'll be moving the cursor on your computer and typing things on there and seeing what's happening on the screen of your computer. By the way, both Mozy and TeamViewer are free. So that's something, it's very nice having those handy too. I mean, the ones I use by far the most are Goodreader for looking at PDFs and annotating PDFs and just pulling up things in general like that. 2 screens for teaching, Blackboard, and then the 2 notes ones I mentioned, PaperDesk and just plain notes. More generally, I like GWiz for checking my Gmail. GWiz is actually pretty nice because it not only does it check your Gmail, but it allows you to use Google Talk so you can chat with people. People in my lab all have Google accounts. So, if they have a question, they'll often just send me something through Google Talk and it'll just pop up on my screen. If I'm using the iPad, it'll do a little boop-boop sound. So I know they're having a question. It also accesses my Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Reader for RSS feeds, things like that. You can't set up to do Facebook. I didn't do that because I don't want to be distracted by that.
All right, so somebody mentioned something about iPad versus 1 versus 2. So functionally, there's not that much difference. Yes, the new iPad is a little thinner, a little lighter. It does have that cool magnetic cover that turns on and off by opening and closing it. But the best feature by far are the 2 cameras. So if you do Skype or what comes with it is FaceTime, you can also, if your students have Macs, you can, I think it's 99 cents to get FaceTime on your Mac laptop. It also, because you have 2 cameras, you can set it up to video record. So right now, Jen could set her iPad up and just record the entire session, which is just awesome. You don't have to, and it's sort of not exactly sneaky, but it's not like holding up a camera to get everything or having a bigger camera. Quite nice.
If you're at a law school that doesn't have a classroom capture system, does this mean students can record their class?
Sure, conceivably.
Ethically, but yes, they could. And people have used that to record meetings, certainly. So I have this sort of hypothetical, and I'd like you all to give me some input. So my sort of thought for the future is in small seminars, if either students have iPads or laptops, preferably the iPads, I can envision small seminar, like I said, 10 to 15, where the faculty member can have virtual office hours with their iPad. The students can, check in at any point. They're traveling. The faculty member's traveling. but you have a quick question, so you can have your virtual office hours. Also for collaborative learning, you have two students who aren't really sure about the PowerPoint, they have a question about a case, they can, FaceTime each other, very quick chat about that. They could use Dropbox. This is what I got out of the PowerPoint. They've annotated it. What do you think? I put it in Dropbox. You access it from your home.
Right, and faculty collaboration, obviously, as well.
Yes. So if any of your faculty are using iPads, do you think this type of scenario would work at your school? Anybody? All right, everybody stand up, 10 jumping jacks, come on. Is that a question? Can you use the microphone?
Wow, really? Okay. I was just going to say I use Dropbox on the iPad with some of our faculty members, and I highly encourage Dropbox. It's a great utility. It just makes life a lot easier, and it works on PCs, works on Macs, works on the iPad, and I guess it's just a plug for Dropbox. But for example, we had a professor whose laptop was stolen from her house. Mm-hmm. She's been working on a research article for like 3 years, and the only place she had that was on her laptop. But a week earlier, I set up on Dropbox, and so her article was saved. So yeah. She thanked me over and over and over. So.
All of a sudden, there the shades are going up in the back. It's a little distracting. Yes. Again, if you're sitting there, if you could use the mic, just hold it down.
Oh, thank you. Okay. How do you connect the iPad to the AV system to project?
Sure. There's a dongle.
Yeah, so you can connect just with a VGA connector, or we also have just a composite video connector. Yep. HDMI? Yeah, we don't have an HDMI connector, but
you
yes.
You get these at the Apple Store, or?
Yes. Well, I bought this on eBay for a lot cheaper than what you can get at the Apple Store.
What's it called?
$29.99.
Yeah, I think this is about $20.
VGA to iPad?
Composite.
Composite. Okay.
Yes.
Just a comment on that. Just to comment on that, on the iPad 1, the VGA connection will not mirror the screen.
Exactly.
But on iPad 2, the HDMI connection does provide a mirror.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And actually, so does VGA, and which Jenny will show. And
everything.
Yep. I think that's it.
And,
yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, my presentation tomorrow will talk about Apple at Monterey College of Law, but all our faculty and all of our students have the iPads. So we are using Dropbox, I Annotate, and we've got a limited number of experiences, but it is working, and the students are using Dropbox extensively.
Yeah.
We are next year using Dropbox to distribute all of our faculty handouts.
That's awesome.
So whereas we've been posting them on the website, Dropbox was a much better alternative. So we've had a couple of sample classes that have been doing it, and it's worked great because then the students can get it at whatever source they want, their PC, their laptop, or their iPad.
Exactly.
So it has already shown to be far superior than just posting it on the website.
Yeah, and therefore you don't need the USB connector really in the iPad too.
Yes, sir.
2 questions. One, how do you print from the iPad? And secondly, I have a cheap Pogo stylus. What was so nice about the other one that you have?
Well, do you have your iPad with you? You can borrow this if you like. I think it's the sensitivity that compared to other styli that, there you go. Thanks. I'll let you check it out. Printing, we haven't really. Yeah, you can do AirPrint.
You have to have the wireless printers from either Epson or Canon. You get this. You have to have that capability wireless. And then when you have a document, on an iPad you usually see that arrow. You click on arrow. There's a different options of print. I have some screenshots. Yeah, you can see. Does that answer your question? Back to your Dropbox. We use PDF highlighter, and the PDF highlighter connects with Dropbox. If you need a document, you get the document out of the Dropbox, put it in a PDF highlight, you can highlight. It's just beautiful. I can have some screenshots to show you. Any questions before we go on?
I have one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Have y'all tried any of the other Dropbox alternatives like SugarSync or SpiderOak or anything that offers a bit more encryption?
I didn't.
We haven't.
What's that?
Other alternatives to Dropbox.
The Dropbox, because it's just the convenient part of it. It's just a folder on your, once you create an account, it's just a folder on your desktop. So that's just make it so easy. But any other things like the good reader that you talk about, there's also web dev. You can set up a web dev to connect it, but nothing beats the Dropbox, the convenience. You don't like it? Dropbox, there's no security.
The concern that I have was because of the security issues with Dropbox over the last weekend, and then SugarSync is more encrypted, and it works with Goodreader and a lot of the other same apps that work with Dropbox, and then SpiderOak is like the most encrypted that there is out there, and I just was wondering if y'all had explored any of that at all.
No, but yeah, I can understand the concern with that is the security and also the privacy too.
As far as printing goes, there's a product from that will run on a Mac called Printopia, which does some really good things. So it'll share out any printers that you have on the Mac, including network printers, as an AirPrint printer, and you can even print to a PDF and have it delivered to your Dropbox if you don't want to actually go to paper, but you want to snapshot it. And then you can also hack Linux into being an AirPrint server on the kind of free on the PC hardware side.
That's cool. Any questions before? Can I use your the adapter? Oh, right here.
Yes.
Right here. It looks like the sound like him. Oops. I'm going to play it. Let's see. Okay. Sweet. Okay, it looks like we got some sound problems, but anyway, I'm just going to play it. I'll explain what she talks about. At University of St. Thomas, what we do is we have faculty. I don't know about you. You must have faculty who come to you to ask for iPad, right? I mean, that's well, they want it. So what we do at University of St. Thomas is that instead of just acting on a random basis, what we have is we have a policy, a program, which means which allow the faculty to buy iPad and also build all the support behind it. So what we do is we don't have any extra money. But what we say is that the policy, part of the policy is that if faculty members want iPad, they can use their own professional development money. So we have no extra money. But there are faculties who have money left in their development accounts, can use that to buy. And the way we do it is we develop a policy like different models of iPads from 16 to 32 to 64 bits, gigabytes, and then the 3G and no 3G model. And we say these are different options, but if you want one, usually I'm the person to say talk to me. We'll say what their needs. For instance, some of them will take the iPad with them all the time on the road to do presentations. Our admission staff, for instance, go on the road all the time. So, and then we will recommend the right kind of the iPad. 64 bits would gigabyte would hold a lot of data. We usually recommend the 32 gigabyte. And for faculties, we say with 3G. The reason is during the summer, the faculties are everywhere, that they want to have that connectivity. And normally we go for the 32 gigabyte model with the 3G. And all of our faculties prefer the Verizon type instead of the AT&T. So the way that we allow them to buy iPads, and once we got the iPads, what we do at the back end is when we got the iPads, we put the iPads, the address, the physical address into our clean access table. So what does that mean? What that means is that when the faculty got the iPads, when they are on campus, they just turn the iPad on and automatically connect it to our wireless network. Nothing, they don't need to do anything. It's automatic. They don't need to. So we put that, the physical address of the iPads into our clean access table, and so they're automatically linked. At the same time, we also say there are a certain number of apps that will buy for you using the PAs. And the way we do it is that we buy the redeemable code. So when they've got the iPad, we shoot them an email with that link. So they got it, click on the link, they automatically have they download the apps. So it's the whole process is streamlined. And we also have a blog, basically listing the apps that's going on. Because apps keeps coming up. There are good ones now, before there are good ones now. So we have a system of supporting them. This professor, Susan Seville, she has a website, a blog site, which has a lot of followers. It's very big in the field of, I think it's a Christian kind of religion and employment field. She has a blog, has a lot of followers. She needs to blog every day. So with the iPad, using the WordPress, the apps, she can blog anywhere. And she can even blog on the airplane. She blogs on the airplane, save it as a draft. When she gets off the airplane, she just publishes it. So she loves this. This is just a huge, not in the classroom, but in the blogging. And I have some other professors I have. By the way, you will see that the videos I recorded in the, yes? But you wouldn't see the... Yeah, my sound was pretty low. The sound was pretty low. By the way, I used the program called Handbrake. Anybody use that before? You use that? Handbrake. That you can convert any videos into the iPad format. So that, I don't know what program you use to convert it.
I just went straight to
Final Cut. Yeah, that. I use a Handbrake to convert it into. But anyway, oops. All right. And we have another professor. We have about right now we have about 15 professors have iPads, and our deans have iPads. So we have another professor who just travel internationally. So when you travel internationally, you want to carry as little as you can. And he is a text professor, travel internationally. So he used the iPad, and he can buy in England the little My Wi-Fi. It's just very cheap. You hook it up, you get internet access right there, much cheaper than you bring your netbook. Which you can use the international iPads. We have another professor who let's see. Who is a clinic professor. Let's see. He is a clinic professor. So in terms of clinic professors, he needs to be able to do legal research right there. Somewhere on the road, in the courtroom, if he needs reference to statutes, he could pull it up right there. So clinics. And also in terms of the, he can put everything basically, the briefs, exhibits, everything into his iPad. Any questions? The sound doesn't work, so sorry you can't hear them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the different apps. So now you see all the different things I have. I'm going to see that. Oh, this is a. All right, I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to cover the different apps for different categories of things. Why it's so useful for lawyers or legal professions. Anybody from the audience from Texas? Anybody, you go? Texas court is totally electronic. right? So the judges there just love iPads, the trial court. The reason the judges like iPads, they will tell you that because everything is electronic, they can get the briefs in their iPads and read it. And I'm talking about the statutes. There was a judge in Texas to say how nice it is to have an iPad because the Texas statute is about 8 volumes anywhere. If you need it. But with his iPad, it's put up right there. And he's talking about dictations. Think about short-staffed, and there's a dictation there. But anyway, so courts now, in federal courts, bankruptcy is totally online. But in a lot of states, if it's totally online, the iPad is just wonderful. It's everything. Justice Scalia reading his briefs on the iPad. Have you heard that? Anybody read that? I mean, so I'm going to cover the legal research, legal reference, and annotating tools. As a lawyer, you need that. And also the recording apps and video conferencing. Think about before, if I've been in I interpret for a lot of court like depositions, international depositions. Think about the amount of equipment you have to set up to enable that video conferencing. And also the calendar. But I'm not going to cover everything. I'm basically just cover a few more things. Oh, this is the judge about Texas. Texas judge. The article. I thought I didn't have it, but I have it. They just love it. They do everything. Basically, the article says it's high-tech court. They can access all the different things, dictionaries, video conferencing, and dictations. Legal research, of course, we have to start with either Lexis or Westlaw. Lexis, the way to get all the Lexis apps is you go into your iTunes and you type in Lexis. You will pull up all kinds of apps. One of the things that people talk a lot about, there's I didn't put it in. There's a called Project. It keeps track of your calendar. I didn't put it in here. But the one that I use most is the Lexis Advance. It's still an iPhone version. There's no iPad version. Lexis Advance. Basically, it works the same as on the PC. You download that app, use the same login information. Once you log in, you can limit it by the content type, the practice area, and jurisdictions. So they're just a little bit more of the screenshots. You can, after you've done the limitations, you can go back and start your search. And this one is better, isn't it? But it's than the PC because the Shepherd signal is right there. There's no way to bypass that. And so it's. And then when you need it, when you need that specific cases or statutes, you can email it to yourself if you need. And that's the Lexis part. I don't actually use that often, but the one that I use all the time is Westlaw Next. The way, again, to find that apps is you go into iTunes, type in Westlaw, and you pull up all the apps that's published by Westlaw. And the one that the Westlaw Next is designed for iPads. There's the iPads. So it's the same thing. You log on, and then, just like you're doing it on PC, you specify which client you're doing this legal research for. And then you can, again, that's the screenshots, how beautiful that is. You can limit the different jurisdictions, types, and forms, and everything. You can do a limit, and then you can do search. In Westlaw Next on your iPads, when you do search, the search terms will be highlighted. This is I'm interested in. And it's highlighted, and then you can look at the specific document. And then this is where you can get the documents out. Now there's an option here called Save to Folder. The Save to Folder function is just like when you do the research on your PC. Remember the Westlaw Next right now, you can share your research folder, you can create a folder, you can put your results in the folder and share it with somebody else. When you save to the folder, you can save it to a different folder. So the results is automatically synced. No difference. Automatically synced while you're on the road or at your office. You do the legal research, you can access the results anywhere. And then one that's free if you're in Minnesota, if you're the Minnesota bar member, and you have the legal research fast case for free. Fast case is very nice in a sense. It's not as expensive as Westlaw Lexis. And then basically you can search for case and statutes. Same way, you can limit the jurisdictions, and then you can set how they are going to display their authorities, and then you do a search. Again, then these are the results you will get. Now, the thing I don't like about fast case in iPad is that there's no way you can get the result out of it. You can save it on the specific devices, but you can't get it out of it. On your PC, you can save it in a very nice looking format, but on the iPad you can't. Legal references. One of them is Lawbox, but the one that I like is the Law Stack. Look at the legal references now is very strange because it depends where you are. If you're in California, Texas, New York, or some other big states, you would have this legal references tools like statutes. But in Minnesota, we don't. The statutes are not there yet. But the general sources, reference sources, are there. Law Stack or Lawbox. And note-taking. Note-taking, there's just so many of them. One of the note-taking that I like, I just recently downloaded. I'm going to show you, demonstrate to you. Let me demonstrate. The one is bamboo. It's called bamboo paper. Look at how nice that is. I can use my finger. It's just that you can draw whatever. You can draw, and you don't like it, you can clear the page. It's nice. It's nice handwriting. You can hold it down and you can choose the size of it, choose the color, and you can start writing. And of course, you have stylus. You can use stylus. Yes.
So you said that you can't save the stuff from Fastcase. Could you cut and paste it into the page, into one of the note takers?
Sorry.
For Fastcase, you said you can't save it. Could you cut and paste whatever document you were looking at into the note taker?
You should be able to. I don't know. I never done it. I couldn't get anything out of Fastcase. Her question is about when you do Fastcase research, can you take it out? Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, my time is up. You're welcome to come to talk to me, but I've got to leave it. But anyway, I do want to show you that there's so many note-taking apps, and the one that we talked a lot is this Goodreader. Goodreader, think about case management. You can create a folder. You can put everything in one folder. See, mine, for instance, I got, oh shoot, let's, see, look, I have so many folders. You can just dump it in them. Now, I just take 1 minute of your time. Now, the one that we provide to our faculty is called, oh, this is Chinese. I don't know how many of you can read it. But look at that. You can create folders. You can create folders. And for instance, like these are all tax cases. I'm teaching federal tax law research. These are all federal cases. For instance, if you want to organize into one folder, you can just do edit and choose that folder. Oh, you can do edit, and then you can choose it. Look, you can rename it right here. Can you see that? Rename, delete, or move. So I will choose to move to a folder, say that, and that document is in my folder. Now, earlier I talked about this one connect with my Dropbox. Look at this one. Do you see this icon right here? So if you have Dropbox in your institute, or you have a Dropbox account, you can put everything in there while you're working on your PC, and on the road you can pull it up, and you can read it here. And what's nice about it, this is beautiful in terms of annotating. You can draw anything on it. It's just beautiful. Okay, sorry about it.
That's a good reader.
This is PDF highlighter. This is PDF highlighter.
Do you know how it's different from FTP on the go?
I don't know. Yeah.
These questions also switch on our iPads.
All right.
You already took them.
All right.
Is there any voice dictation?
Oh yeah.
On the iPad?
Oh yeah. It's called Dragon Dictate. Does anybody use that? You do that, beautiful. The transcribe. But the one that I'm using, I really haven't used it. The one that I use, I have a few recording things. It's called HD, audio memo. So those are very good. So there's just so many of them.
Is this one on? Yeah. So I am a librarian by trade, and I get asked about the iPad all the time. Our professors are just getting into it, and I am the instructional services librarian, so thus the questions. But I am actually currently teaching advanced legal research online, and I left my laptop at home when I came here because I'm running my class entirely out of my iPad right now. So I'm running it through Sakai, and it's fantastic working with that. But I wanted to tell you a quick bit about one of my favorite note-taking applications. This is ThinkBook. How many of you have iPads? Good. How many of you use Notes, the one that comes with it? I was doing that for a long time, and I got really annoyed that I could not put in bullets and tabs and move it all over. And I found this one, which is about a $5 program. And as you can see, I've been taking notes all throughout the CALI conference. Each one gets its own page, and I can indent. If I don't want to see technology, I can close it. So this has made my life infinitely better, because this is exactly how I think. This integrates with Dropbox. You can also email it to yourself as text, and it comes in the actual bullet point format. And you can also actually create samples, forms. You can do checkboxes. This is my meeting minutes template. And one of the things I have not had a chance to try, but I'm intrigued, when you do interviews with people, you can actually put in questions, and it leaves a space for an answer, and it will tell you you're not complete until you answer that question, until you type something in there. So this is just one of the new ones that I found. Questions? What's it again? This is called ThinkBook. And the other popular one, and my dean absolutely loves this, is Evernote. Evernote has a web interface. It does iPad, Android, etc. And you can set up notebooks. It has a lot of apps that it integrates with. You can put in pictures and stuff. If we have any reference librarians out here, I don't know how you prepare when you're preparing a lecture, but if I'm working with the print materials, I take my cell phone out into the stacks, or now I can actually take my iPad because I have the camera, and I take pictures of the books that I want to talk about, rather than taking a notebook and writing them. I've gotten lazy. I picked it up from the students. So, I want to talk about Collier's, I want to talk about the digest, the reporter, etc. And I just put it in here. I can take the pictures out, put them into my presentation, but it helps me remember what I want to talk about. And it's interesting. It's not how I used to work, but the new gadgets are making life a little different. But the dean, like I said, absolutely loves this because it is so integrated. It doesn't matter what device you have. You can work with this program, and it all comes together centrally. So these pictures were taken on an Android phone. I'm looking at it on my iPad. I can go look at it on my PC. So it's a great program. But his big complaint was every time he's working with his handwriting apps, he actually keeps putting his hand down on the iPad, and that screws up the handwriting. So I introduced him to two different programs. FastFinga is what it's called, FastFinga. For this one, you have to write in this little box. So it doesn't matter if he puts his hand on the bottom. It's going to be okay. So I'm writing in green. And then when you're done, there's a little thumb down below that you hit, and it puts it up top. And then you write more. And it takes a while to get into the rhythm. It works better if you're holding it, because you just keep going like this to put up the new text. But he seemed to like this one. I personally prefer penultimate, but fast finger can actually be put into Evernote. And if you have a paid account, it will instantly go through and OCR it. If you have a free account, which is what I have, it can take a while for them to put it in the processing because the premium customers get higher priority. But it will go through and OCR your handwriting so that you can make it searchable in Evernote. Penultimate does not have the same system quite. And for whatever reason, it's decided not to show you. Okay, it's just going to show you the icon. But penultimate actually has a little piece of paper, and there's a setting on there that you can turn on so it does not pick up your wrist movements, which is nice. And you can change all kinds of things. This one integrates with Dropbox. So I'm a big proponent of Dropbox. I have trained my professors to use Dropbox, as well as their RAs. So when I'm working on projects with the professors and their research assistants, we all have one Dropbox folder. No one else can get into it except the three of us. And we go ahead and work that way. And it's working really well.
Question.
Sure.
I was writing an exam in my living room on my laptop and saved it to Dropbox. Went downstairs to my PC and tried to print it. A minute later, it had not synced. Are there any problems about how much lag time you have to deal with?
I have not had the lag times, but did you have a comment?
Did you close your laptop right after you finished doing it?
I probably made a mistake. You can tell me after.
It just if you're typing away and you close your laptop and you go away, it hasn't had a chance to sync.
Right.
And sometimes it does take a minute or two. I don't know if the premium subscribers get priority queuing, but I was working on Dropbox a couple of days ago, and I found it took a little bit longer than usual than to update. So just be sure if you're working on that kind of a fast time frame, just make sure you're watching it or goose it so that it updates immediately.
Also, sorry. Also, at the bottom of your screen, you have a little Dropbox icon. Yeah, if it's still circling, it hasn't finished updating. You have to wait for it to stop, and then you can go on. It's going to turn off. One of the things I quickly wanted to point out as well, because you all have heard about a lot of things. This is the CALI conference page. See where it says Digital Handout LibGuide? We haven't quite gotten everything into there, but for the most part, our apps are in here. So you can come, click on the links, it'll take you directly to the apps so you can see what we're working on. And I'll try to gather some data because some have come up spontaneously to try and keep that up to date for you. Any questions right now? Or are y'all a little dazed? Deb.
Which stylus do you use?
I use the Boxwave, and I believe it's the same one that they're using at Duke. I did a little research. This one's supposed to be one of the best ones, and one of the things that I like about it, it's a little silly, but it's got this little plastic piece on the end. It hooks into your sound jack where you plug in your headphones, so I can't drop it. I just hook it in and go. It swings a little, but that's okay. I don't lose it. Because, it's not attached. It's gone. Yes?
So mine's more of a comment that the Pages application doesn't integrate with Dropbox. You have to do like a little workaround to...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said the Pages application that you can use for the iPad.
I actually don't use Pages.
No, it was just a comment that it doesn't work with Dropbox.
It doesn't work with Dropbox?
Yeah, it doesn't integrate with Dropbox. Right now, it doesn't mean it's not going to. So you have to use like a little WebDAV utility to get it to sync with your Dropbox.
Hopefully they'll get on board and hook it into Dropbox. There's another question. Yes, sir.
How about actually editing a document, like in Word, using typing and then saving it and reusing it? Is that possible?
I personally don't write complicated documents on my iPad. I will write an exam or a homework assignment, but I'm not going to write a law journal note. That's not something I think that I would use that for.
And so there are Bluetooth keyboards that you can use for the iPad as opposed to just typing on the screen, right? Because, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to type.
No, I know that there are keyboards, but actually taking a Word document and opening it and editing it and then have, reuse that new document. Is that what are the possibilities? That is, I'm asking about what are good editors there that you can use.
A good editor, it really depends. A lot of the notes programs you can use to edit documents. Yeah.
I actually use Evernote really more as for writing documents because then I can access it anywhere.
Yes.
Hi. At my main campus, IIT gave iPads to all the incoming freshmen who seemed to like it. My understanding is this is going to continue for this year, and hopefully they'll get some iPad 2s. And the annotation program they seem to like is called Notarize. My husband was a grad student there. They didn't get iPads. And he was making fun of my iPad until he saw someone use Notarize, which both can annotate PDFs and can also be a note taker, and that was his killer app, and within 2 weeks he had an iPad. Just another thing to sort of show off, I've been beta testing this program called Show Me, if anyone has seen it, and it was the thing I always wanted to come to an iPad. I can draw on the Show Me while talking and explaining what I'm doing, so I can explain a technology or a legal research concept. It records what I both drew and what I said in real time, creates a video that I can then upload and share across the Show Me site or embed in a website. So that's my cool app of the day, Show Me.
I've been looking for a good screencaster for the iPad, so that sounds fantastic. You said that one was Show Me?
One word. Show Me, one word, just arrived in the iPad store, I think, while we were talking. Also free.
Show Me and Notarized.
Notarized is not free. I think it's under $3.
It's okay.
No D.
Okay. Some programs are worth paying for.
Well, there's a free one and there's a one that's like $5.
Okay. One last thing that I wanted to mention, because it's something that my library is working with, are the QR codes. Do you all know what QR codes are? We have been working with a bunch of these, which I have some here if you want them. They're just a little tiny fun thing. And we are working on hooking our library tours up to these, research tutorials, the works. And the one thing that I really like about them is you can create them quickly and easily and put almost anything into them. And one of the things I put up here on the LibGuide are some places to get the QR codes and ideas for them, because honestly, on a cell phone, if I'm trying to show someone how to use LexisNexis, that's really hard. That's really tiny writing. These, however, are the perfect size for the students actually accessing the videos. So we are encouraging these. Did I? Yep. There we go. For whatever reason, it's flipped on me. There we go. So we're working more and more with the videos with the idea that the students are picking up iPads because we see them coming in the door. And we do want them to be able to use their mobile phones if they have them, their iPads, etc. But for videos, we found this really works well. And we're working with a website called Vimeo to upload videos. Right now, I'm testing it with my advanced legal research course, and it's working fantastically well. There is a Vimeo iPad app as well that you can use to run the videos. And Vimeo will automatically create mobile versions of your videos. So students can come watch my lectures on their iPad, on their cell phone, etc. But hooking them into the QR codes is making it really easy. And I started talking with someone at a different conference the other day, and he's telling me that his faculty are putting their syllabus readings, they're embedding QR codes and putting them on their door. So if a student stops to check for their first day of readings, they just scan the QR code and all of a sudden they're taken straight to the syllabus. Things like that. So these are getting more and more popular, and I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that we can use them with the iPads. But we are about out of time. We have 4 minutes, so I want to open it up to final questions. Yes?
Is anybody using the video for negotiations or counseling sessions to record them?
My faculty have not yet, but I can see it coming soon. Right now, we actually have a brand new advocacy center that has rooms designed for that. But the professors do still send the students away and say, hey, go do these in a study room, things like that. And I could easily see them using it for that purpose.
One of the other reasons I asked is I wondered about capturing two people across the table from each other.
It's a pretty powerful camera.
Yeah.
And they will have to connect the swap, because you can swap which camera is taking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe they will be annoyed by the fact that when someone's talking, someone will have to swap the camera to look at them.
Right.
Because one is in front and one is, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Instead of the one, I try to catch both of them at the same one. You could do that. But
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for coming. Please let us know if you have any other questions afterwards.
You're due.
Yes.
Now it asks. Most of them